Can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope, she bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
The Jazz, the Mammoth, and the Utes, Cougars, and Aggies. When it comes to sports in Utah, we've got you covered. This is Scotty G and the coach, Tim LaCoe, presented by Mountainland Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Got to imagine this one was front and center there in Vegas.
For you and standing up on the back of my neck.
For you and Steve Wynn.
Don was basically singing it to Steve Yoda and I.
And Yoda's wife.
It was weird. It was a weird trip, I must say. But the music was incredible.
Oh, man.
We got a lot of stories.
By the way,
there's a lot in this head, man.
By the way, I need to go see your guy, Steve.
I'm gonna set that up.
Got to get a new jacket.
Bishop Gerard.
Stop. All right, joining us now. He and I tried to console each other last night on KSLSports.com after every Utah Mammoth game. Jay Stevens and I hop on KSLSports.com. You can also watch it live on X, YouTube, as well as Instagram. And we give you our emotional reactions right after the game. And now Jay's had a day to decompress a little bit. But, Jay, it still hurts, right?
Yeah, it's still. I think it. The stages of grief.
Yeah,
I've been through all of them today. I've I guess I've accepted it now. I'm almost there. I'm almost to acceptance.
So you got through angry, and now you're at acceptance. So when you look at that game last night and you have a chance to reflect, where is the biggest issue with the Mammoth from what you saw and, frankly, into Game 3 as well? I know Game 3 went the Mammoth's way, but I think there's some cracks that we saw in Game 3 that kind of spilled over into Game 4.
Yeah, and like we were talking about last night, I thought Game 4 eventually showed that Game 3 wasn't a fluke, that Utah really it belongs there, and this is a competitive series, not like everybody thought it would be with the one versus a wild card. But what I went back this morning, and I watched every goal again, and I wrote down where everybody was and who missed what assignment. And do you remember last night I was mad at Sergachev a little bit, and I couldn't figure out why. But I did watch. In the fire service, we call it freelancing, when you think you should go do something that somebody else is doing, and you don't do your own thing, your responsibility. I think Sergachev did that on 3 goals against. But then he was positive because he got 3 assists last night. So that's what gave him the even on the night instead of being a minus. But it's those little details. It's following a guy. Like Sergey followed his guy into the corner twice when he should have stayed back, which when he went to the opposite corner, that left somebody wide open in front of the net twice. So missing assignments, and then just little things in the offensive zone that I think they can fix pretty quick. And just keeping those blue line turnovers, because we had a few of those. You saw Utah going a few times and turn the puck over before they really established anything in the offensive zone. Keller is uncharacteristically throwing passes that are getting intercepted. I've said for 2 years now that I think he's one of the best, most elite passers I've ever seen in the league or anywhere ever. He's just got such great vision. But Vegas seems to be clogging those lanes. They must have watched a ton of film on him. So Utah's going to need to figure that out. And I also went back through, though, and it always feels to me that when Utah's going to Vegas, they have a pretty good chance. And I went back through in the last 2 seasons, Utah's played 6 games there. They're 3-3, but of those 3 wins, 2 of them are shutouts, which, Utah didn't have a lot of. So going into Vegas, I feel like, Utah just has to split the next 3 games. They got to get a win. They got to get a win in Vegas and win at home. But just one win in Vegas and hold serve at home, and this is Utah's series. But it's competitive. It's an emotional roller coaster. Had to make sure to take some It's a good thing to take extra blood pressure medicine, right?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think,
Some works.
yeah, double it up is probably the prescribed thing to do after a game like that.
That's my go-to with anything. I think, the old less is more is, it doesn't apply to me. Jay, how do you counter, so I'm just looking at stats on the series, and the one that is glaring is Vegas has spent 45.6% of the series in their offensive zone. How do you counter that? And to me last night, it seemed as though fatigue became a factor when, late in the overtime when Vegas was just able to pin the puck down in their zone.
Yeah, and that comes down to that. It's that body blow mentality. Even though Utah out hit Vegas, Vegas was definitely hitting back, right? And I think maybe they did do those body blows, and it wore Utah down in the defensive zone. They missed assignments. They didn't finish some checks, and they made it so that Vegas spent more time than you want. We used to have a saying that if you're stuck in your zone for 15, that'll cost. If you're in for 15 seconds, that's going to cost you at least 90 seconds. And if you're in your zone for 90 seconds, you're either going to give up one or two, which means you're going to either give up a goal or you're going to take a penalty. That's what happens in 90 seconds in your defensive zone. Because if you don't clear it, guys start overreaching. Maybe they hook or they miss an assignment that scores a goal. They get the penalty. So Utah just needs to clean that up a little bit. I almost feel like the man-on-man that they were doing seemed to be overwhelming to their own defense. I think they kept missing that. And that was mostly at the end of the third period. I hope they weren't like prevent defense type stuff.
I was going to ask you that, Jay, because it felt like when Utah was up 4-3 in the second or in that third period, it almost felt like when a football team goes into plays prevent defense.
Yeah, and we don't typically see that in hockey. You do change a little bit, right? You do change a little bit of your defense isn't going to pinch in your offensive zone. They're going to be more aggressive on getting back to protect the lead. But other than that, you should still see your forecheck going as hard as it was and trying to create turnovers. And we definitely saw, I think they started gripping their sticks too tight, which is a saying we use all the time about being a little too nervous and trying to protect that lead. And defense did stop pinching. So those turnovers and the offense we were generating that got Utah back in the game and then eventually gave them the lead. When they had the lead, they seemed to just maybe let off the gas a little bit and the nerves set back in. So that's a live and learn though, right? You win or you learn. And I think you're seeing each game, Utah gets better. They get smarter. And Torts is over there making all kinds of adjustments, and it's felt like Bear has done the same thing. He's doing it, but it feels like Bear has been able to move the chess pieces as well as any coach we've ever seen. Like he keeps making the adjustments, and it's just coming down to those fine details. But again, a lot of people thought Utah was going to get swept. Some people said one of the teams would win in 6. So. I just like what I've been seeing out of Utah, where I'm nitpicking on little things and little missed assignments. But in the playoffs, if your power play doesn't score and your penalty kill doesn't do things, and if you miss the fine details, you won't win the game.
The power play seemed discombobulated last night. A lot of, just errant passes. And did you see the same thing? And what can they do better in power play to have some success?
Vegas has definitely watched tape on Utah's power play, and they have definitely figured out how to shut it down. They're 1 for 11, I think. Or no, they're 11%. They're 11%. And that's not going to get you anything. So what Utah needs to do is change it up. If this bumper play isn't working, and I know I said this a lot at the beginning of the season, the bumper play isn't working. They try to pass down below the goal line, and then they're trying to hit Schmaltz or somebody right in the slot on that open area.
Yeah.
And Vegas has 2 defenders pinned in there, making sure that bumper play doesn't work. So you have to do something else. You either overload to a side or you go back to the umbrella. And with the way Utah's defense has been scoring, it makes most sense to switch back to the umbrella, which means you put your 3 guys in front of the net or 2 guys in front of the net, 1 guy kind of floating up high, almost like a bumper, and then just let the defense fire howitzers from the point and create chaos in front of Carter Hart. We've seen that he's a really good goalie. We've seen that he makes really good saves if he can see the puck. So park somebody's big body in front of him. It's got to be somebody big. It's got to be Lawson Krause. I mean, we don't have a lot of options right now. But Lawson Krause, if we can get McBain back, you got to put somebody like that right in Carter Hart's face and get some shots coming from the point and dig rebounds and go to work. It's blue collar work. It's greasy work, but somebody's got to do it. You've got to get that power play on track.
So Bill Armstrong, and he'll join us coming up here in about an hour and a half from now for his weekly conversation. But sometimes he makes the game seem pretty simple. And he's like, because I'll ask him, hey, offensively, things are picking up. What are you doing? He's like, we're putting shots on goal. We're taking shots. And I think that when Utah really got back into this game and they scored those 2 goals really quickly, it's like, you know what? Let's stop being cute. Let's stop going side to side, and let's just take some cracks at the goal. And that's when things started working. And then when things slowed down for Utah, it's when they went back to what they were doing before. But it feels like the more aggressive you are getting a shot on goal and really putting heart to work, the better off things are.
Yeah, if you set up in the offensive zone and get shots on net, we always talk about it. You've heard the saying by now, throw pucks at the net, good things might happen or good things will happen. And Utah needs to do a lot more of that. You started seeing, like, Ian Cole doesn't shoot that often. And to see Carcone line up on the right side and fire the Logan Cooley one-timer, like, so you're seeing everybody else start to pitch in, and that's exactly what has to happen in playoffs. But you're right. They go in, and when they try to set up the Utah offense in that zone, and it's typically, whether it's a power play or when it's just line one out there, you got Keller up on the right midboard, and he's looking for that cross-seam pass, and Vegas just isn't having any of it. One, they're not giving Keller any time and space or respect, and he hasn't earned it against them in the playoffs. They're shutting him down pretty well. And two, if he doesn't have the time and space he wants, then he makes those passes where he's not seeing that lingering defender or the third forward, like covering a little bit high, looking for that cross seam pass, which has caused breakaways the other way. So yeah, those are the things they got to do. But when you boil it right down, Bill Armstrong, who I admire and think a lot of his hockey knowledge, and a little bit afraid of him too, if I'm honest. But
Same.
I pulled up his tapes. Just go on and watch his fight tapes. I ask him really respectful questions in all my interviews. But yeah, he's right. Keep it simple. Hockey is hockey, and throw stuff at the net. Get in the zone and just start throwing stuff at the net, and things might happen. You saw it happen in the Pittsburgh-Philly game, right? A game-winning goal off a deflection off the board from behind the net. That's incredible in the playoffs. But sometimes you just got to dig down and get garbage goals and hope for the best. And Utah's got a garbage goal in each game so far. So it's not like luck hasn't been on their side. They just ran out of steam last night. So yeah, Bill's absolutely right. But I think pick up those fine details, get the shots on net. Let's start crashing the net. Let's create chaos. And you saw that not only were they not crashing the net as much, you didn't see as many scrums last night, right?
Yeah.
It seemed like they were not interested in the scrums. And I don't know if that was Utah being disciplined or if that was Vegas taking the foot off a little bit, saying, hey, it didn't work that great. Although the first game where they just doubled us in hits, that's when they beat Utah, right? So it's crazy. And I'm sure Torreni's watching every bit of film and keeping it as simple as possible and getting ready for this game in Vegas. But I really like Utah's chances.
Do you make it much of Peterka not getting? I know he did not come out with a couple lines that expected him. Any thoughts on why he was not out there more?
Yeah, he had a couple bad turnovers, and it just looked like he was not in his game. In fact, the shorthanded goal came off his stick. Basically, it was a bad pass from Veggie, but it's still a pass that somebody like Peterka should have been able to handle. You got to know if your goalie's throwing you a pass that it's not going to be perfect. We don't have the right gloves to make perfect passes, right?
Exactly.
So it's like it's horseshoes when a goalie's throwing. Like, it's pretty close. So take that. That's a good pass. And so I did notice Peterka got a little less ice after that play. I thought he was a little bit of a vulnerability, not terribly, but he was a little bit of a vulnerability. And they did a lot of work on him this year, taking him from 100% offensive to putting defense back in his game. And I think he hasn't been able to provide as much offensively. And I think that's messing with his head a little bit. And I think that's where he got off defensively last night. And man, I'll tell you, Torini, if you miss those fine details, he's going to make sure you know about it. And he's not afraid to bench anybody and have that conversation and make sure you don't make that mistake again. After the penalty, I was surprised to see Stenlund back in overtime, honestly, because I thought that was a horrible play. And I thought that was one of the ones that you benched somebody for.
So I guess you could go glass half full or glass half empty. The fact is that Utah lost that game, and one of the big reasons why were just self-inflicted mistakes, just silly mistakes or silly turnovers or bad passes, things along those lines. It's one thing to lose a game when the other team is just so much better than you are. That's not the case here. Most of what Utah did wrong was just self-inflicted, screw-ups. So you could say, all right, well, that we can fix those things and go on to win the series. Or you can also be like, man, we let one get away just because we dropped the ball here a little bit. So where are you at on that?
I'm going to have to go glass half full. I believe that Utah did make some self-inflicted wounds, and I hate to use cliches, but like I already said, either you win or you learn.
Yeah.
And I think, Utah is young, and all those superstars are young. And you watch them, and Cooley turns 22 next week, I think. I mean, he's going to be an amazing player. And I just kind of isolated him a little bit and just watched some of his stuff last night. And even on defense, the kid is really starting to become elite. And he's such a good skater. Guys like that are just going to keep getting better and better. And I'm not saying season to season. I'm saying shift to shift, game to game. They're going to be better. So they're going to learn from those mistakes they made. Bear's going to point out the parts that he needs to point out. We need the power play to just be worked on, and you need three options. Like you got to have the audible when you get to the line. You got to have the call and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is the power play. We're switching to this, and switch it in the middle of the power play. And it's just so that everybody knows, like, okay, the bumper's blocked. Let's go to an overload on the left side, or just go back to basics and go to the umbrella and throw pucks at the net. But yeah, I think they're going to learn. It's impossible not to have a little bit of a letdown after, fighting back from 3-zip, taking the lead, taking it to overtime, and then thinking you lost in overtime and getting the reprieve so that you're back on, you're off life support and should have been able to get a win, but that's hockey. Guys, you've got to have that 12 o'clock mentality, right? It resets the next day and move on.
So as much as the power play has not been firing on all cylinders for Utah, the penalty kill has been phenomenal. 11 straight penalty kills, as Lloyd pointed out earlier in the show. They gave up an early one in Game 2, and then it's been lights out ever since. So if we're going to get after Utah for the power play, we also, the one thing that Tim and I were talking about, we also got to talk him up when it comes to the penalty kill.
100%. And man, and it's everything. It's everything you want to see in a penalty kill. Everybody's blocking shots. Everybody's in the lane. Veggie's on fire. I mean, he made some really good saves in games 3 and 4 on penalty kill. And we always say the goalie has to be the best penalty kill, but it was you really like what you're seeing, and you think, okay, this is the structure they want. This is the guys making sacrifice, laying down the bodies. Let's apply a little of that peanut butter on the other side. Let's toast both sides of the bread. But it's just been getting. I love seeing it shut down the Vegas power play, and it's the same thing Vegas is doing to Utah on their power play. They block every shot, they close every lane, and they put their chin right up against your chin every time they get the opportunity. And there's just no time or space on the power play or in playoffs.
Crunchy or smooth? What are you going with your peanut butter?
Always crunchy for me for some reason.
I'm with you. Unpopular opinion.
I go
the texture.
And I go honey on top of that.
You go crunchy or smooth?
I don't care. I'm good either. Surprised me, but honey.
Honey, yeah, peanut butter and honey. You can't go wrong with that.
Then you dunk that
down
in.
for it.
Then dunk it in milk.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's the trick.
Right there. Jay, big one in Vegas. This one certainly is absolutely huge because either way, we're going to see a Game 6, a closeout for somebody, whether it be Vegas if they win Game 5 or if Utah. And you'd much rather avoid a Game 7 in Vegas if you can. So this is a big one coming up.
Yeah, we talk about it every time you're in a playoff game. You just keep talking about how important this game is, right? Last game was important because it's going to be either 3-1 or 2-2. And can you imagine if it was 3-1 going back to Vegas right now?
Yeah.
All the odds would be on Utah. But right now, the odds are they're flipping. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in this series. But Utah has a really good chance in Vegas. I really think they do. I think they learned a ton. I think they can go to Vegas and they can get this win. And that's not me just being optimistic. That's me looking at the numbers from the last 2 games and looking at the plays that the guys are making and saying, Carter Hart made some remarkable saves. And there was a one-timer, I think it was Cooley, that just barely didn't creep through. I mean, give Carter Hart all the credit. He got across quick. He's made really good moves, but that's the difference, right? And it was the same thing at the beginning of Game 3. Veggie made a couple saves. He made a save on almost the identical goal they gave up at the very beginning of Game 4, and he stopped that in Game 3. So just a couple little things here and there, and that's a whole different game. It's going to be the same thing in Vegas. And, I just put my money on those superstars coming up and being young and being mad, and there's a chip on their shoulder now, and they're going to go to Vegas and prove it.
Let's get it. Hey, always a pleasure, Jay. Thanks again, and let's chat again here very soon.
Outstanding. Thanks, guys.
You got it. Man, look, he's good. Jay Stevens is awesome.
Yeah, I would imagine he was a killer goalie, too.
Oh, yeah.
The effort he gives in his journalism.
Well, and I also think, too, if you were a guy kind of standing in that crease in front of him, you're going to get a stick in your back. Like right, bam, just right in the
he told us that, right?
Small
that
in the back. Like, hey.
That was important.
You get out.
Get out of my zone.
Get out of my area,
dog.
Here. Yeah. All right, good, the bad, the ugly coming up next. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is your good, it is your bad, it is your ugly right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, remember, coming up on Thursday, we will be live at Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy, 10785 South Automall Drive. Real easy. Just take that 106 South exit. It's on Automall Drive. Come on by. Hang out. We'll have fun. Jake and the crew going to get you in one of those new Mazdas.
We'll talk him into crazy deals and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. As the show goes on, the crazier the deals get. So
Deals.
Am I saying it right, Lloyd?
Deals. And it's deals.
No.
Deals.
No. People get mad when you say dills.
Deals. They got killer deals.
Killer deals. It's the real deal.
Holyfield.
Yeah.
The real deal.
Yeah. Am I saying it right?
Nailing it, man.
Okay, good.
You have it down.
I was at a function a couple of years ago.
Hey, I never really called you out on that, by the way. It was somebody else.
I know it was.
And I just kind of played with it, but somebody else did.
Oh, Lloyd Cole.
That's saying Lloyd's never to blame. It's always somebody else.
Exactly.
But he piles on.
Yes. Lloyd Cole was a mighty fine soul. Mighty fine soul was he.
Garett Bolles caught in the act.
Speaking of mighty fine soul.
Yes. Now, usually when you see a camera phone footage of an athlete out in the wild, it's usually not particularly good.
I was like, oh, no, Garett, what did you do?
Garett Bolles caught on a cell phone camera changing a woman's tire. That's right. Pulled over, had his beautiful ride, by the way. It looked like a pimped out Humvee. Parked on the side of the road, saw a lady that had a blown tire. So he pulls over, and she takes some footage. He didn't want it out there. He tried to keep it quiet, but she got the video of him sitting down on the side of the freeway, trying to twist the old lug nuts. And, I thought it was pretty impressive to see Garett Bolles out there changing tires.
Well, first and foremost, what a cool guy. Just do your thing, be you, but I got to pose the question to you two, percentage-wise. And I know you've had a recent tire mishap, so you know what it feels. Well, we don't need to turn up.
He's had more than one tire mishap.
I've had a lot of tires.
It's kind of what he's known for.
Stop it.
Well, some of them are self-inflicted.
Yeah.
You know, curbs.
They happen.
They're there.
Yeah.
Or a screwdriver because you just don't want to go somewhere. You just shove a
Sometimes we're really not feeling going to that golf tournament. And
anyhow, I just remember you telling a very traumatic tire story. Where are you guys on the stop and help the people on the side of the road thing?
Oh, screw them.
That does not surprise me.
I've got somewhere to be. Screw you. I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
If I would have written down what I thought the answers would be, that would be in the ballpark.
I am. Okay. So it depends on my perceived level of their capabilities. All right. So
that makes sense.
If you see an elderly woman on the side of the road and she's staring at a flat tire, I think you need to pull over and help out any way you can. If it's a 25-year-old strapping young man, no, you're on your own, buddy. You need to know how to do this.
I think that's very fair.
Yes, you're spot on.
And again, it doesn't surprise me that you're right in the wheelhouse. I'm certainly not 100%, but I do kind of qualify the person in my. You've got about a 7-second window to assess that person needs help or not.
Well, it depends also where it's at. If it's on the freeway, it's kind of terrifying sometimes
scary.
on the freeway.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm a little bit.
So you're essentially better them than you.
Absolutely. Okay, again, this is coming off bad, but it's like because sometimes those are there's not a lot of space on the freeway
and
sometimes.
To be able to stop.
And if it's on the inside or the outside. If it's on the outside, I'm sorry.
Well, there is incident management for that. I have been a fine. I was a lost soul once on the freeway, and incident management stopped, and they were terrific.
But the cone's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get me where I'm needing to go.
Absolutely. I'm all for that. Look, sometimes it can be pretty harrowing when you're on the side of the road there, especially if you got all the construction going on and you don't have much of a side. Yeah, I totally get that.
I had a blown tire not that long ago that was actually in one of those construction areas, and I was going to get out and change it myself because I was like, yeah, I could do this real quick. And then I realized those cars zipping by I'm like, I'm going to die if I do this. So, no, I'm calling somebody else to help me.
All right, so I'm going to admit something that I'm not particularly proud of, but I grew up on a farm. We change tires all the time, tractors, whatever. Changing tires is like second nature to me. Until not this car, but a car before, I got a flat tire. I was in a parking lot, come out, and flat tire. I'm like, all right, well, that stinks. And so you go in the back to go get the jack and the tire, and I'm like, where is this? Like, I couldn't find it. And I'd had the car for like a couple months, and I'm lifting up, it's not there. And then I look down, and it's underneath the car, and I'm like, I don't even know how to access this thing. I can't find the jack. Like, everything's all...
You got to go through a training when you get a new car. You have to go through a training, and you actually kind of have to change a tire once just to see what it's like.
Exactly,
yeah.
And it was and so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, this isn't like the old school, where you got that it's pretty easy.
You felt a little less human that day, didn't you?
I felt like a less of a man.
Yeah. Because
then I did call roadside assistance. I'm like, I just need somebody to show me how to access this tire. And he comes in like, yeah, these things are a pain in the butt. And apparently there's this little thing that you do in the trunk, and you swirl that thing around a little bit, and then it drops the tire down, and then you have to go and do this and this. I'm like, why did we make things so complicated? It's like we want people to call roadside assistance. Like, no, you're neutering an entire part of the demographic. Let us change the tire. Don't make it so hard on me. Like I want to teach my kids how to change tires. I want my guys to be men, to be like, all right, don't worry, honey, I got this. I can change. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
You couldn't do that?
You want Brody sitting there helping you, teaching him, and maybe the bolts go flying, and he goes, fudge.
Yeah. I'm. What's funny is I had the exact same experience. That's why I was going to say, who the hell are you that you can't do that? No.
I know, right?
No. I'm telling you, early in my marriage, I needed to change a battery. My good friend Billy D, who's out there somewhere.
Billy D. Williams?
No,
Cat the
I've got
singer?
nicknames for everybody. Billy D, he knows who he is, but he offered to come help me, replace my battery. So he's like, I just need some pliers and we should be good. I mean, I wouldn't know if the battery was under the car in the trunk. I mean, I'm telling you, I was a derelict and still am in that regard. But I go in, pliers, and I walk out.
Oh, boy.
And I've got a pipe wrench. And he just like, dude, you need to take a man's course because you are ill prepared
For life.
for manhood. Because how in the world do you think I'm going to get the battery off with that pipe wrench? You tell me. I'm serious. So
No, like my kid, his battery went out on him. And so I'm like, all right, we're going to get in the car. We're going to go to the car, the whatever, whichever sold the cheapest battery. We went to like 3 or 4 different places. Those things aren't cheap anymore. Holy smokes. So we got that, and, I went down. We're like, okay, this is how we pop that out. This is what we put it on, red, black, boom. And it fires up, and I'm like, he's looking at me like, oh, my dad knows something. I'm like, yeah, I know. I can do this. And you know what? And before that, his battery died at work, so I went over there. I'm like, okay, look, red to red, black to black. Turn it over. There's your jump. Let's bring it on home. Change the battery. And
Bada bing, bada boom.
And he's looking at me like, oh, I respect him a little bit more. That's all we want. So don't make the tires so hard to change. Anyway. All right.
Hey, Russ, you want to share a beer?
Good chat, Russ.
He grabs it back, and Russ has drained about 3/4 of it. He drank it like I was drinking the water in your office today. He was, which I have learned you can't do anything. Like you need to, when I drink water, I need to like be so careful because if I do anything a teeny bit out of kilter, I'm going to get called on.
Look, this is a great job. We are extremely lucky to do what we do.
It's the best job in the world.
It is the best job in the world. But, yeah.
We notice oddities.
Everybody's looking for an opportunity to bust chops.
We notice things.
Well,
Yes.
you know what's crazy? I definitely am the same way. And Dave Rose, right before games, like we'd be in pivotal games, and, he'd see some guy across the way that looked like, William Shatner or something, And so we had this game like, the look-alike game. So he'd walk by me like, William Shatner at 11 o'clock. Look over right before the tip, and he'd get me feeling loose. But, every little clique and group has their thing.
Oh, I got a great Craig Smith story to tell you during the break.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. There's your good. Let's get to the bad.
Now the bad.
Okay, so may not necessarily be a bad, but I'm a little upset about this because Cooper Flagg is going to have all the awards. Like Cooper Flagg is going to be perennial all-star. He'll be right there for an MVP a few times. He's going to be associated with being one of the best players in the league for a decade, 15 years to come. Like, we know he's going to be special. And I know Con Knippel will never sniff the same stratosphere that Cooper Flagg will be at when we look at his overall career. But Con Knippel had the better rookie season than Cooper Flagg, in my opinion. And sure enough, Cooper Flagg ends up being the rookie of the year in the NBA. Give Con one thing. Like, just let him have this one thing. Cooper's going to take everything else. But let Con have the rookie of the year. But no, we got to give that to Cooper Flagg, too.
So, again, we talked earlier about the transparency and the decisions made by the NBA. I mean, I looked through a bunch of things last week in preparation for this, and nearly everything I looked at said it was Knippel based on the numbers. And so, yet again, this is much like Bronny getting drafted to the Lakers.
Yes.
All these little things, it's a way to get more drama. A little, certainly Cooper Flagg is going to sell more T-shirts, and more jerseys over his time. So forget the merit. Who cares about merit? It's like Little League Baseball.
Yeah,
it's whose dad's the commissioner.
I mean, look, you already conspired to get him to Dallas. He's already going to have. He'll probably even have an MVP or two along the way. Like, this dude is going to be special, a generational player in the league. So he's going to have all the good stuff. Like, let Con just have this one.
What's cool, though, is Con is just comfortable being Con.
Yeah, I know.
And one common thread, you saw his team this year, a team that perennially was really bad. He was actually a guy that helped move the needle the right direction. And they'll make some tweaks, but that dude will be a part of a ton of winning in his NBA career.
Will they be a ton of winning as long as there's a ball on the team?
No. Well, they'll win.
They'll
but
win,
it's just
but
like
yeah.
we just talked about with Detroit. Will you win in the guts of the game? And that's where he's got his biggest issues. I think the reworking of that team may, perhaps use him for dangle him out there and see what people are willing to give you back. And then maybe you can go get somebody who's, not just a great player and really talented, but cares about winning and things outside of that.
I know some of the comments he made after the season didn't sit well with you.
No, and the way he drives and
Yeah.
the way he treats people. And I think there's a common thread there. So I just, it's not necessarily that hard to see that when somebody's wrapped up in their self, it's hard for an organization to grow.
I remember Theo Epstein when he was running the Cubs. I think he was talking about Anthony Rizzo, but he said it's really important for the best player in your locker room to be one of the best people in your locker room. Would you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah. And if you have that, then your culture is able to just fit nicely. It's when you have the Jordan rules, right? When there is a separation between what is required and demanded of the best players and everybody else, when you can have harmony in the locker room, everybody understands their role, but whether that best player is a great person, looks out for others. It's why Jimmer was able to be Jimmer.
Yeah, because it could have been easy for that locker room to get fractured pretty quick.
No, and you take any team sport that somebody gets the lion's share of the attention, you're fighting a battle internally, regardless, because we know how people are, and for every player, there's at least two parents that or two people that come in and kind of take their stake in the deal. So it gets muddy in there when you take into account everything you're dealing with.
I mean, I remember seeing Jackson Emery in high school. That dude's a high-level scorer, and he gets to college, and Jimmer blows up, and it's like, hey, you're our defensive guy. You're the guy that gets stops, and you got to swallow a lot of pride to be able to do that. But when it's for the betterment of the team.
Well, in shots, you look through that roster. Brandon Davies was unbelievable. Noah Hartsock was incredible. You had Jackson, Jimmer, and Charles Abua, who's the winningest player in the history of the school, and all those guys. But Coach said this all the time, and I think it's kind of what you're seeing with the Mammoth. Give something of yourself. Mm. You throw things into the middle. That collective group can get pretty powerful.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Lloyd, you don't need to make jokes about Tim Lacombe drinking water on Twitter.
Oh, gosh.
That's pretty much it. It is pretty much it, though.
Hold on. I just need to look.
What did you just do?
That's exactly what I did, though.
It is.
Like, I made it.
Wrong.
If I was out at the Salt Flats, it would have been a land speed record.
Saying he looked like Napoleon Dynamite drinking that water. Jeez.
I've had a lot of practice.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up in about an hour and a half, we will have a great conversation, as always. Bill Armstrong. He'll go over a heartbreaking loss last night, so we will chat with him coming up at 1:30. And, of course, Kurt Heelan will join us in about 15 minutes from now as well. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We're locked on to Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe.
Now I know y'all are tripping.
Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is what Lloyd drives, downtown Salt Lake City.
No, this is the start of my vacation.
That's when he's got
nobody.
The windows down.
This was his ringtone back then.
Yeah.
I remember now.
Right
in the middle of class.
University of Utah, when you had those old cell phone ringtones.
And it was like, it wasn't the real song.
I was listening to our favorite.
Oh, I bet you
yeah.
were. Yeah. Lloyd and I had some common listening when in our teenage years that maybe we're not particularly proud of.
Yeah,
Nickelback?
It'll make you blush.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think the language on Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg's bad.
That was one
of
those.
What are you talking about? Eazy-E?
Worse, actually. Worse.
Hey, I love that. I love Eazy-E.
There was nothing that would scare. And look, the kids these days don't understand because, you're listening to stuff on your phone. But back in the old days with the cassettes, and you would be driving the parents' car, and you'd leave the cassette in the car and the volume up, and then you'd forget to take the cassette out. And then mom would hop back in the car, turn the ignition, and then she'd hear some Ghetto Boys blasting in her ears. That was an uncomfortable conversation.
And you would never see that tape.
That tape
again.
was tossed into the garbage and set on fire, and you had to make a trip to your church leader.
Ecclesiastical.
There we go. Leader.
Nailed it.
Yeah, my bad. Hey, it was a late night last night.
I got you.
Give me a little
I'm
bit.
with you.
I had 12 years of worrying about that one, so
Yeah.
I didn't know it. Ecclesiastical.
And so, yeah, got to get that endorsement.
Yes, that was very pivotal each and every year.
Oh, jeez, I can't believe it.
It was.
I know. But yeah, that was tough. So yeah, these kids, they don't know what the challenge is like, trying to listen to music you weren't supposed to listen to.
Mine was Twisted Sister. I brought Twisted Sister home.
Boy,
And
I bet Mom sees that video. She'd be a little upset.
well, the album cover was one where he's sitting in the corner
yeah.
gnawing on a
Yeah.
enormous. It's like one of those turkey legs from from Disneyland. But the title track or one of the first song on the album was "You're Gonna Burn in Hell."
Yeah.
And she saw it and she flipped it over and saw that and woo. He wasn't gonna, or whoever he was singing to, I was going to burn in hell.
Yes. Yeah.
So we got rid of that very quickly, and then I had to sneak Motley Crue in later.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, that's when you take your buddy's tape and then you just record your own.
That was
and then write
Neil Sedaka.
Mormon Tabernacle Choir or something on there. Yeah.
Neil Sedaka.
Sedaka. Oh man, you know what? I'm not gonna miss listening to that music. That's for sure.
What?
Come on. Neil Sedaka.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
Sedaka's great.
I love my guy, but
Well, you're not going to miss out on it because I love it too.
oh, stop it! Are you really gonna play that nonsense?
Absolutely. They just play it for him.
Come on, you can tell me
I
you don't
didn't
like
just
that, right?
play it for him.
No, I'm not going to be the music.
Just another day. Like, oh, please make it stop.
I was saying Neil Sedaka. He was an old crooner.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
He was
okay.
actually had it right.
Yeah, yeah.
You were getting it wrong.
I know.
You were trolling. He
Yeah.
was not.
Yeah. And
No, I
now
was
it got
not.
and now it got to the point where I think that's his name because
Are you
I said
saying
it for
John
some-
Cicada?
John Cicada, yeah.
I like that song.
Oh, I liked it the first
Thank
8
you.
million times I heard it.
No, but when you hear it, it uplifts you a little bit. Depends on what you're doing. You're raking leaves, you get a little more vigorous.
Well, I think it was making our other guy a little vigorous too. All right, noon right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, it is Kurt Heelan, NBC Sports and ProBasketballTalk.com right here on the Zone.